And welcome back to Ran-DomU University, and thanks for tuning back into this channel. So today we're going to go ahead and get right back into what we do and get right to the nitty gritty and get this video started. Well, boy, I'll tell you what, it's late, but I got another video I want to react to, and it's the 11th hour, and it feels like it's about the 50th hour here at home. As you can probably see in my eyes, I don't know if that's just age or fatigue, or probably both, but you know. Let's go ahead and get right to it. This is a story about gun violence in America. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with the news. I mean, I guess because nobody watches it, but I find the news interesting, personally. But damn, I mean, it could make me lame, but on to it.
Good evening once again. I'm Stephanie Rule. It is a question we ask on this program every time we report on the latest outbreak of gun violence. When are we going to do something to solve for this uniquely American problem? That question has become even more urgent over the last week, one where we have seen an alarming series of shootings involving people who made simple mistakes, just doing stuff we do every single day, but they were met with bullets. The latest in North Carolina late yesterday, a man allegedly fired at his neighbors after a basketball rolled into his yard. 6-year-old Kingsley White and her dad were both shot and wounded. We, of course, reported on Kansas City teenager Ralph Yarl, who was shot in the head and the arm last week when he rang the wrong doorbell, picking up his brothers. He's now recovering at home. And over the weekend, 20-year-old Kaylin Gillis and her friends just pulled into the wrong driveway in New York. She was shot dead when the homeowner opened fire at the car. And Texas cheerleaders Peyton Washington, seen here, and Heather Roth were shot after mistakenly getting into the wrong car outside of a grocery store early Tuesday. Peyton was critically injured. And as one guest told us last night, hair-trigger justice now seems to be almost the norm. And there's another deeply troubling element to all of this, and it relates to the shooting of young Ralph Yarl. The grandson of the 84-year-old man charged in that shooting put it this way.
I feel like a lot of people of that generation are caught up in this 24-hour news cycle of fear and paranoia perpetuated by some other news stations. And he was fully into that, sit and watch Fox News all day, every day, blaring in his living room. And I think that stuff really kind of reinforces this negative view of minority groups and leads people to be a little, this doesn't necessarily lead people to be racist, but it reinforces and galvanizes racist people and their beliefs.
I mean, that dude almost
looks like a black guy. It's a concerning and terrifying worldview that is unfortunately not unique. Meanwhile, in Washington, Senator Chris Murphy pointed out that these shootings are highlighting another very disturbing trend.
We also just need to ask some deeper questions about why people in America are just so unhappy and so alone that they would resort to violence this regularly and this casually. There is also an anxiety, a fearfulness in this nation.
And earlier today, we heard from former First Lady Michelle Obama, who said she wants to see more Americans demanding action to curb gun violence.
I hope and pray that at some point enough becomes enough.
What is their point?
You know, we wondered that throughout our entire presidency. We are the only developed country on the planet where its citizens can have unfettered access to firearms. That is not a good thing, and more of us have to feel strongly about it.
And here we are,
but she's right.
Talking about all of this. Exactly 24 years ago to the day when 12 teenage students and one teacher were brutally murdered in a shooting at Columbine High School in Colorado. With that, let's get smarter with the help of our lead-off panel this evening.
Well, I tell you
Former
what,
New York prosecutor.
Columbine, it sparked all sorts of different things. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, that's the only reason Degrassi, the show, was made. You know, that was Drake's starting spot. So, I mean, Aubrey Graham, I mean, he was school shooter victim, like, main one. So, I think somebody else died in that series. Actually, I think a couple kids died in that series. That show got really dark. Sort of like 13 Reasons Why, but it started off dark. So, I mean, anything that has to do with like high school drama or schools, inevitably somebody gets killed, somebody dies. It's a lot of sad stuff. Man, I don't know. I don't watch teen dramas, which, I mean, it wouldn't make much sense since I'm 33, but, you know, some people might. It can be compelling, I guess. But, yeah, Columbine, man, that was forever ago.
Civil rights attorney Charles Coleman, Frank Figluzzi, former FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence, and Ryan Bussey, a former firearms executive who helped build one of the world's most iconic gun companies. He is now a senior advisor at the gun safety organization Giffords, and he wrote Gunfight, My Battle Against the Industry That Radicalized America. Ryan, you were the first person I wanted to talk to tonight. When you look at the...
I like listening to these guys sometimes, but I mean, for the most part, it's like every time they bring somebody onto these panels, it's like, hey, please buy my book. You know, it's like, God, man, everybody's always trying to sell something. So it's like, how much do I really want to believe their message at the time, or they just pandering to make somebody buy their book? But I mean, they usually do make good points, though.
These shootings, what do they tell you about gun culture and the climate in this country today?
Well, thanks for having me on, Stephanie. And as much as I appreciate being on with you, I wish it wasn't this regular. You know, what it tells me is this is not a surprise, right? We have a political system that profits on fear and conspiracy and hatred, and it's wound around a firearms industry that helps propagate that, because fear and intimidation also sells firearms now. We put about 56 to 57 million new firearms into the United States market in the last 3 years. People are obviously very fearful, many of them irrationally, many of them, as the grandson of the guy from Kansas City says, they're this sort of fear and conspiracy is being stoked with their media, and they have a gun sitting there and they're ready to use it. And I'm really not shocked that these things are happening. I'm shocked that they're not happening even more regular than they already are.
Jesus, I mean...
Frank, think about when we were young. The amount of mistaken doorbells we rang, how many times we got lost in cars with our friends, even pranks we intentionally pulled. Things are completely different now. Beyond just the sheer number of guns, what is it that's making people respond to just mistakes with gunfire?
They're not mistakes. People just shooting people now.
Permitted themselves to be programmed through social media, through the cable news, television they watch all day and all night, through their echo chambers, rabbit holes that they are stuck in, seeking affirmation from each other. And the politicians, as has just been said, the politicians and the gun lobby is more than happy to feed that programming because it's for-profit programming. And so, you know, the words fear has been mentioned. Fear is driving this, but it's an irrational fear. We're now seeing the kind of inner-city crime that people have almost become numb to go to the suburbs as people shoot each other for nonsensical reasons. And where is that fear coming from? It's programming. Crime, violent crime is going to get you. It's way up. The facts don't seem to matter, by the way. Jim Jordan, of course, held a hearing in Manhattan claiming that, you know, crime is out of control there. The facts don't seem to justify that, but nonetheless, that's what we're being fed. People of other races are out to get you. We accept that. We get fed that. And so when that doorbell rings or the basketball comes into your yard, your first response is to pull that gun, which you're now allowed to have without permit or training. You pull it, you don't know how to use it, and you start killing innocent people.
He's right. I mean, that's pretty much just what happened to that poor white girl who just got killed. I mean, she got shot for pulling into the wrong driveway. I mean, how many times that happens? I pull into the wrong driveway just because I needed to turn around real quick and I wasn't going to go an extra mile down the road. I mean, imagine I just got gunned down in the next 30 seconds. I mean, like, what are these people thinking? Like, they just come out the door just blasting? I mean, you just open up, bang, bang. I mean, don't check. see what's going on, ask any questions. I mean, damn, nobody ask any questions. You can't just be like, hey man, what's up? You need anything? Can I help you? I don't know. Rough.
It's a programming that's occurring. The deprogramming question is much tougher to answer. It's going to take a long time to get out of this hole.
And the first problem you mentioned, inner city gun violence that we're numb to. We shouldn't be. Charles, last night, April Ryan was here, and she said something chilling that has been on my mind for the last 24 hours, and I want to share it with you. Watch this.
I think about this as a parent. My older 20-year-old daughter, who will be 21, has gone to pick up her younger sister, who's 15, several times from white communities. And it really makes a parent shudder. Like, could this really happen? There is a syndrome now in this nation with hair trigger justice.
We heard the grandson of the alleged shooter of Ralph Yarl talk about why these incidents take on a different meaning in the black community, especially for black men.
Absolutely, Stephanie. I think in order for America to ever be what it can, it has to be honest about what it is. And the truth, when you're talking about what it is that violence is embedded in America's DNA. Racism is another thing that we have to deal with as being embedded in America's DNA. And these two things, when you add in the element that Frank mentioned around profit, they create the type of storm that we're dealing with respect to quick hair trigger justice that April talked about. And this is the type of thing that allows for me to say with confidence and with clarity that the way that I navigate spaces, the way that people who look like me navigate spaces is simply different. And it's an understanding that America has to deal with and an inequity that America has to deal with if it is ever to get to another place.
Well, I mean, of course, it took the racial turn for us all. I mean, which is an important point to make because, I mean, quite frankly, as a black man, or, I mean, I might be lucky as a yellow skin, or lighty, just to, I wouldn't get the benefit of the doubt. I can tell I'm black from a mile away. They'll shoot at me just as quick as they'll shoot at somebody else. I mean, hell, it doesn't matter if it's me or Denzel Washington. So, either way, they're going to pull the trigger. And it doesn't really matter about race. I mean, apparently they're just killing anybody now. So it just doesn't matter if you're pulling into a driveway or if you accidentally just knock on the wrong door or if you accidentally open the wrong door. I mean, you might die now. So, I mean, that's just the way it is. So quite frankly, it's like, don't make any mistakes. Don't make any mistakes when you leave the house. So when you leave the house, don't accidentally walk to the wrong Honda, which there's like a million of those. You know how many times I've accidentally just like opened the door to the wrong Honda? I didn't even open the door, but accidentally tried to. I mean, hell, one time there was a Honda literally right next to mine. So, I mean, if there was a person in there ready to kill me, I guess they would have just did it. And it was just been an honest mistake. I was just opening the wrong door. Which is just sad, man. Like, I don't know. I don't even have a gun, which I guess that means people are coming for me now. I don't have money, so I mean, just whatever. But people are sad, man. They just lazy. People want to go out and kill. People are hurt. People are traumatized. I don't know what leads to all of it, but it's unfortunate. Like, it's scary. I mean, just to think. I mean, hell, working overnight, all I think about half the night is just like, what is this the night that one person just decides to come through and kill somebody? Or every time I go into a grocery store, like if I'm in the line too long, I'm always thinking, is this the day somebody comes into this grocery store and lights it up? Like, just going to Sprouts and trying to get some coffee beans and somebody just goes in there and just starts spray painting the place. So, I mean, that's one of the things, like, I just don't really don't want to experience. I hate that I have to go everywhere and constantly think of an exit plan of what's going to happen in case somebody crazy walks in with a bomb or an AK or an AR, whatever. It's just hell, if they just go in like John Wick with like 50 pistols, it don't matter. I mean, it's just rough. I'm just tired of seeing people get killed all the time. But either way, it's thanks for tuning in. This was just going to be a short one. I just wanted to run through before the end of the night. Get this out of the way. I'm about to pass out. So, guys, I will holler back at you. Y'all have a good one. Peace. Hi. If you like that content, please hit any of the buttons below and subscribe to the channel. If you liked any more of the content, please hit any other videos and continue viewing. And if not, then just have a great rest of the day. Thanks for listening.